I've got this guy at my gym. He's nice enough, but every time we partner together, he feels the need to try and coach me constantly. Now, I wouldn't mind, but he's objectively not very good. He claims to have been training his whole life, but what he's trying to show me goes against what my coaches are showing, and I feel like he's doing it more to feed his own ego. Like I said, he seems like a nice enough guy, so I don't want to make things awkward or piss him off. Any advice on how to approach this? Thanks for all the great content. You are one of my favorite martial arts based channels. Well, dude, firstly, big thank you. Whenever someone says something like that, I just blush and don't really know what to say other than thank you. So thank you. I'm gonna break this down into 3 parts. First part of it is I want you to try to understand this guy, because by thinking about the reasons for their behavior and why they do that, it can help you to not have kind of so much of an emotional response to them. Secondly, I'm gonna give you just some straight up advice about what I think you should do about it, how you should deal with that. And then 3, and this is, part of it, is how to deal with the response from the other side, because people are unpredictable. First thing, like I said, is try to understand where this guy is coming from. And to be honest, I think you already do, because you mention about him feeding his ego when he's trying to do it. And that's probably the reality of the situation. When people think about coaches, if you see them on the UFC, or you watch fighters talk about their coach, or maybe the way you feel about your coach, generally speaking, a good coach is respected, admired, and even, as far as to go, loved. And people crave that in life. People crave to be respected, admired, loved. And a lot of the times they'll try to manufacture a situation to try and receive that. They see that, coaches get treated a certain way, or spoken to a certain way, or listened to a certain way, and they want that for themselves. The reason a coach gets treated like that is they've put in sacrifice, they've given time, they've shared knowledge that's been helpful, they've had an influence on you. Now, he's probably trying to take a bit of a shortcut here. It sounds like he doesn't have the necessary knowledge, and whilst it's nice to try and help your training partners, if you're just constantly interrupting them to show them your secret techniques, that just gets jarring after a while. That's not really why we're here. As annoying as it is for you, and you shouldn't tolerate it, we're gonna cover that, just have a level of empathy and pity for him, because there's something missing in his life and he's trying to fill it through trying to coach you. Maybe he just needs a friend. And if he had a friend or someone to really consider a training partner, maybe he wouldn't feel the need to act like that. That being said, it's not your problem. And generally speaking, this advice is the advice I'd give to any issue you have with someone else in your gym. Whether it be a coach or a training partner or a student, be honest, be straight with it, but be polite and keep emotions out of it as best you can. Just a caveat on this is, if you can, just talk to your coach and see if they can handle it for you. Now, I don't like to always put it on coaches. Being one myself, I know how much a coach carries on their shoulders, how much they're dealing with at any one time just to keep the club going. And every time you come to them with something like this, this could be a daily occurrence for a coach. Someone comes over, this guy's doing that, this girl's doing that, this one's doing this. It's like it's more fires for them to put out. So if you feel like you can handle it on your own, then go speak to him directly. If you obviously have, maybe you got some social anxiety, maybe you got some things that are preventing you doing that, then speak to your coaches, because at the end of the day, it's their gym and it's their responsibility. So they should be able to take that on board. Go up to the guy if you can, and this is basically what I want you to tell him. Say, look, dude, look, mate, I really appreciate what you're trying to do. I appreciate that you're trying to help me. However, for me personally, I'd really just like to work on what the coaches have given us to work on. I've no doubt that what you're saying has merit, has something to it, but for me right now, I'd really appreciate it if you didn't offer me any coaching while we partner together. If we could just train minus the coaching. Now in that, I've been very straightforward with what my issue is and what I would like done about it. They're the 2 things you need to do. Make it clear what the issue is. You're coaching me and I don't want you to. And what you want done about it. Let's just train together and you don't coach me, okay? You've not said anything about, you know, how it's making you feel or why you think they're doing it. You don't need to go down that rabbit hole. You just need to state it very clearly, very politely, and without any emotion in your voice. Trying not to sound angry or upset or frustrated. You know, just try to have a very matter-of-fact conversation about it. Now, if you're lucky, he'll go, dude, my bad. It's a habit of mine. I can't help it. I'll just let me know if I do it again, but I promise I won't do it anymore. Sorry. There's a really good chance that that'll be the response. Like, for the most people, they don't realize what they're doing is annoying to other people. You'll get this with people who they talk a little bit too much during training. Like, they're not aware of it. They're just doing it. And then you point it out to them and they're like, sorry. People who hit too hard, they're not always aware of it. And you point it out and they go, sorry. And they dial it back. This is the same. A lot of people just default to do this kind of behavior, maybe as a defense mechanism, maybe as something to protect themselves. Just by pointing it out to them, just by putting the mirror up, they see themselves for a moment, they catch themselves, and that should be fine. The other side of the coin is he might not take it well. He might get defensive, he might put up some walls, he might start throwing some stuff back at you, whatever it might be. Real important thing to understand is at that point, it's a him problem, not a you problem. Him problem in the sense that how he responds to your request for him to just train as he should and not to coach you when that's not his role, that response is no longer your responsibility. Especially if you took the initiative and you took the forethought to go, I'm gonna be polite about it, I'm gonna be matter of fact, and I'm not gonna be rude, and I'm not gonna make it personal, I'm not gonna dig into why I think you're a loner or a loser, and that's why you do it. I'm just gonna say it to you. And if you've done all of that and he still responds badly, that's on him. I appreciate that if you're in a smaller gym or you train in a regular class together, you really would prefer not to have awkward relationships like that, where you don't even want to look at the guy, you don't want to partner them, you don't want to talk to them. But sometimes this is the case. And often you got to think of your club like a little family. And sometimes members of a family are going to fight. They're going to have a fallout and they won't talk to each other for a while. I remember living with my sisters when we were growing up. We would go sometimes weeks, sometimes months, just passing ships. We wouldn't make eye contact, we wouldn't talk to each other. Eventually we'd get past it, whatever the issue was, and we'd be fine. And clubs can be like that sometimes. Sometimes someone's gonna grate on you or something's gonna happen. A situation like this, you'll have a conversation and then you won't talk to each other for a while. And there might be an awkwardness in the air, but don't let that scare you off from having these conversations, because the most important thing to take away from this is that communication is key. In any training environment, and again, in any relationship in your life, having open and clear communication about what's bothering you and what you'd like to see done about it is really important, because that's how relationships stay healthy. When you don't talk about it, when you don't address it, you let it build, you let it become something bigger and uglier than it needs to be. The sooner you address it, the less of a thing it's gonna be for him and for you. Guys, I hope that video has been helpful for some of you. If it has done, I'd appreciate it if you could just very quickly just hit that like button. I always point here. I get the feeling it's here. Could you hit the like button on whichever side it is? Subscribe to the channel. If you have a question for me, then please either drop us a DM on Instagram, it's linked in the description box, or if you're feeling real brave, just stick it in the comments on this video down below. I'll see you on the next one.